Hello, 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 and welcome to AZAAZ. That's Ask Zenatta Anything About Zoho. This is Volume 1, Issue 31 for December 7th, 2023. I don't know where time is going, actually for December 6th, 2023. My goodness, guys, we are flying through the year. But if you guys don't know, this is the show where you ask questions and we have the answers. You can head over to our YouTube channel, watch a video, go, that's interesting, but I got a question about it. You type in the question. It goes into our massive pool of questions. And then you go over to our Club Zenatta and you say, hey, I've got a question there. Club Z is our social network where you can get together. It's a community of Zoho users. People are always asking stuff there. Sometimes you might want to ask a question just for AZAAZ. You ask it, it goes into our pool of questions. And then Greg, that's this guy right here.
Hello.
Greg, basically, he's the arbiter of all questions. He goes through them all and says, you know what, I'm going to answer this one. I'm not going to answer this one. Kind of like a little demigod from back in the Roman days, just choosing people left and right, deciding what gets in, what doesn't. And then he assigns them to the panel of experts that assembles every other week to answer the lucky questions that have been chosen to be answered by this august panel. And so with us today, we have got Wayne Martin. He heads up marketing over here at Zenatta, and he can answer all questions regarding those kind of things. And then we've got one of our senior consultants, Landon McCluskey from South Dakota, ready to answer all your questions. And then, of course, as I already mentioned, Greg Belknap, head of all our developers here, hailing from St. George, Utah, ready for us to, we're from all over the world. All over. This is a global panel that is assembled every 2 weeks to answer your questions. All right, that is the longest intro we've ever done in the history of AZAAZ. And with that, let's get right to the first question.
All right, I'll kick it off. Looks like supply sourcing, asking our how to set up UTM tracking for Zoho forms. He says, hello, first of all, thanks. What I want to ask is, how can I submit and track sources from organic traffic in Zoho? Like which organic posts come in? So what I'm assuming they're asking here is they fill out a form on their landing page and they want to know the organic traffic coming in to fill out that form. Unfortunately, the way UTMs work is you need some sort of tracking. So whether it's Google Ads, they append a UTM URL at the end, the question mark, with the source and the content, etc., or the keyword. You can also do it internally on your landing pages. So, or like, let's say you send out an email blast and you want to know which ones go to this landing page and fill it out from an email blast. You can append that question mark to the end of that URL for that landing page. However, for organic, there's not going to be anything that's appending that UTM tracking code. But what you can do, I'd recommend setting up Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager. And the combination of those will at least give you a better idea of what your organic traffic looks like for that particular page where the form resides. And if you have everything going into that page with some sort of UTM parameter pre-set up, whether it's a link from a button on your homepage going to that landing page or an email or Google Ads, if you have them all tracking, well, then you can kind of cherry pick as those come in, like, oh, this doesn't have any parameters attached to it. More than likely that's going to be organic. So I think you guys have anything to add to that?
Well, I have a question. I'm a marketing noob, but I guess what does organic traffic refer to in this context?
So organic is generally speaking like you do a search on Google and Zenatta appears at the top. And it's not an ad next to it. They just happen to do a search and click on it, and they didn't find us on YouTube. They didn't find us through a paid source or through some sort of promotion. So you're organically being found through the search engines out there, whether it's Bing or Google or whatever it may be.
And these UTMs are, that's really stands for Urchin Tracking Module. Believe it or not, there was a company called Urchin Technologies or something like that, and then Google bought them, and they had the technology that would track all of these things. So, you put these parameters, you put them after ads, you put them after various things, so that when someone comes in to your website, you can capture that on the back end and see, hey, here's where they were. And Google tracks that on their analytics, and which makes things kind of helpful. Little internet history there.
All right, next one here from Mateus Fraz. He says, "Hey guys, thanks once again. I'm finding some instabilities and some weird behavior in Zoho Flow when using webhooks. Did you guys notice anything similar? For example, the payload was not showing, and after a couple of hours, it started showing. Also, when creating a custom function, the webhook variables are not showing. Have you guys experienced some weird-ish going on with Flow as well? Thank you. First of all, you're welcome. Second of all, yes, you're not the only one. You're not crazy. Well, you're not the only one experiencing it. We've kind of noticed recently some stuff. My guess is, and we haven't heard anything from Zoho on it, any specifics, but we've noticed that when you do any of like your basic CRM triggers within Flow, you'll also notice in your CRM that under workflows, it's set up a workflow that is essentially a webhook from CRM sending it out. So there's maybe some issue with kind of the way that they're changing those getting set up or showing. Not sure. But yeah, you're definitely not the only one. Also, I want to say one of the things you mentioned was the variables not showing up. If you're already putting a webhook in yourself, you're probably used to it, but just make sure when you put a webhook under the advanced settings that you check that box to use headers as variables, which probably already are, but just make sure that's checked. So, yeah, have you guys noticed anything else?
I mean, so I will say that I have not noticed any issues with like Flow being able to receive webhooks. It sounds like this might be an issue with sending webhooks, although they do mention that they're saying creating a custom function with webhook variables. No, that's talking about creating a custom function inside of Flow, and the webhook variables are not showing. Right? Yeah. So to get the variables showing in Flow for when you're creating a custom function, you'd have to make sure that you can get like you have to test the webhook and send an example payload, and then say like use this payload so that it can then like remember this is what the JSON is going to look like when it starts getting payloads, to be able to start using those further down in your Flow. Now, I think that when it comes to using webhooks, I'm a coder, so obviously I have a bit of an advantage here, but I prefer when I'm setting up my webhook in, say, CRM, rather than using the actual webhook function, like the action and like send a webhook on like a workflow rule, is actually creating a custom function and then using inside of Deluge an invoke URL task that then I can define exactly what I want the payload to look like in there. And I've never had any issues passing things into Flow that way. It sounds like I think there have been some people seeing some issues with sending the webhooks using that little tool in there. But as far as I know, using a custom function and an invoke URL hasn't really brought up any issues as far as I've seen.
Well, and one of the other things too, like you said, you can, if you do it yourself using the invoke URL and Deluge, you can make it look however you want. You choose what to send and how to send it. We noticed last week, I think Jordan was pointing it out, that when Flow creates those webhooks in CRM, it passes all of the information from whatever module, all of the fields and everything. So just the sheer amount of data it's passing could be messing something up, whether it be, with those delays or whatever. Who knows?
All right. So Phil Sim asks, Mail is such a strong product. It kind of blows my mind you guys don't use it. By you guys, he's referring to us over here at Zenatta. If the Calendly bookings issue was solved, you think you guys would move? Well, Phil, that's a really good question. So yes, my guess is there's a lot of things here. So for those of you that don't know what Phil is talking about, here at Zenatta Consulting, the #1 Zoho consultant in all the Americas, we don't use Zoho Mail. And we've talked about it on the CRM Zen show, which is probably where this has come up. And we've talked about it on this show occasionally. So Phil's listened to us. But we have hundreds of clients that use Zoho Mail. I think Zoho Mail is a great application. And but it is the Calendly bookings issue. So Zoho has there's two things here. We use Calendly, which is an online booking software, which integrates beautifully with the Google Suite, which is what we do. And we use Zoom rather than Zoho Meetings. And so Zoho Meetings and Zoho Bookings are fine applications, but they're not what I would call enterprise ready by any stretch of the imagination. They are lacking features. They're lacking, the meeting side is lacking some stability. There are just some issues there. They've gotten better and better and better. And as we're going to talk about a little later on in the show, we're going to talk about a resource library. We rank things between yes, no, and not quite yet as to whether or not you should use something or you shouldn't use something, or how these applications going to apply for you. And in many cases, Zoho Mail is perfectly great for most organizations, but it does lack some key integrations that might be just make or break for so many different companies that are out there. So for us, it's one of those things where that's kind of make or break. All right. The other thing, Phil, I think you want to look at here, and the application that's just kind of still could use a little work. It's gone through several revamps. It's gotten a lot better, but Mail and Calendar go hand in hand. And so if you're going to be using Zoho Mail, that means you're using Zoho Calendar. And there are still some things around the calendar side of things that Zoho need to get right. And they're getting better at it. I will be surprised if we have not made the move by 1 year from today. I mean, every year we say that, it's getting closer and closer and closer. And since we are all Zoho all the time, it would only make sense for us to do that. I think if Zoho, though, had perfect Calendly integration, I think they already have Zoom integration natively finally built in, right, guys, into Calendar and the rest of that. I think if they had, I think Zoom's done. If Calendly, any of the big boys that are out there, we're so into the Calendly world, is crazy. But by the way, we have moved over half the company to Bookings because they don't need that complicated type of scheduling we're doing. So what does that mean? Wayne needs to book an appointment with me, Greg, and Landon at the same time, and I need to be able to send Wayne a link that when he clicks on it, it checks all three of our calendars and presents to him just the availability where all three of us can be there. Bookings doesn't do that. It needs to check it in real time. It needs to be able to look at all three people's calendar at once. I need to send him a link where it is going to be a round robin between the three of us. Not quite there yet. So there are all lots of kind of, little things or more complicated things inside of Calendly, Acuity, and the others that are out there that Bookings is adding, and they're getting there. So again, it's one of those, hey, it might work for your organization. It really depends as to what your needs are. And so that is the very, very long answer, Phil, to your question as to why we're not yet on Zoho Mail, but it is a fantastic product. You're correct.
All right. This question comes from Diana Visser after watching, it's a Club Zenatta post after watching AZAAZ. Is Tyler an AI bot?
This is a real question. It's a real question.
You should have asked, Diana. We're working on it. Honestly, I don't know who the heck Tyler is, but we're working on turning him into an AI bot.
And I'm Tyler Colt, and let's get right on into the show.
You would be surprised at how close we are. We'll put it that way.
Say, stay tuned for this week's CRM Zen show. It might have a
Tyler. In fact, what is going on with this? We had the person ask, "Who the heck is Tyler?" Right? Which I guess he subbed in a couple weeks ago. Is Tyler an AI bot? He is not, but that is crazy. We're working on it, like Landon says. Yeah.
Stay tuned.
All right. This next question comes from Fayas, who asked over on a YouTube video about using Zoho Creator pages. Can you use CSS in ZML? So for those who don't know, ZML is something that exists in Zoho Creator. Stands for Zoho Markup Language, a play on HTML or hypertext markup language.
I did not know they had their own markup language, Greg.
Yes, they do. And there, unfortunately, is not native CSS available in ZML. If you want to use CSS, you're going to have to use an HTML snippet, not a ZML snippet. And I mean, frankly, we over here at Zenatta, we hardly ever use the ZML. Just, HTML snippets are just so much more flexible and customizable. I'm pretty sure ZML was in place before the HTML things were. I think they used ZML for a while, and we're kind of hoping people would, I think, catch on to that. And I don't think anybody was using it, and so they were like, okay, well, let's just put in regular HTML snippets that people can use. Yeah, so a quick and simple question there. Can you use CSS and ZML? Nope. But you certainly can in HTML, and it works great.
But they are going to be releasing CZZ, which is Cascading Zeil Zeets. It's going to be exciting. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, yeah. Not ZSS, which which would make a lot more sense, but CZZ, indeed, yes.
Well, ZSS would be Zascading style sheets. No, Zascading. We have to replace all the C's with Z's.
It's just ZZZ, yeah. Zascading Zazeets.
You would explain the name, but you'd just fall asleep. All right, this next one comes from Vincent Mastrovito. Is that how you pronounce that, Brett?
It is.
Okay. He says, I would like to create a separate task list on my dashboard for all tasks assigned to my staff. How would I go about doing that? So in CRM, you can add a task module list view to your home screen, right? So any module you want to, so task module, deals, accounts, whatever. Just create a custom view, whatever you want it to see. So in tasks, probably, your criteria would be, okay, all they're assigned to these specific people or anyone in a specific role, whatever it may be. So you get the custom list, and then you go to your home screen. In the drop down, click on, Vincent Mastrovito's home, make sure that's selected. Click the three dots right of the drop down, select add component, custom view, and then tasks module, and then whatever the custom view you have is. So essentially, you're just adding that custom view you created in tasks to your home page, and that's going to be the best way to do it. So,
and you can get trickier with it too. If you want to go into dashboards, you can create a separate kind of widget, then you can pull that widget in. There's a whole bunch of cool things you can do. I mean, it depends on what version you have. Sometimes it's called analytics dash. What do they call? They've got a whole bunch of different names for those, depending on what version of Zoho you're using. But that's probably the simplest way, Vincent.
Yeah, if you have the Zoho Analytics plugin, then there's a tab called Analytics, and that's where Dashboards lives. Yeah, you can do stuff there too. But
there's so many things. I mean, not to go down a rabbit hole here, but tasking in Zoho and viewing I know you want this on your dashboard. It's a very specific question, but you also could look at a lot of this over in tasks. Which you, as an admin, Zoho has an entire app called Tasks, which pulls them in from everywhere. So not just CRM, but everything else. You can kind of pull a lot of this stuff over in Zoho Connect. So it's one of those things where you've got a lot of choices here. But for your dashboard, Landon gave you the answer.
Our next question comes from Mr. Box of Plastic from a YouTube video, Channels versus Conversations in Zoho Click. What is the difference? Mr. Box of Plastic asks, can you send one message to several channels or groups at a time? So we're talking about Click here, right? And the short answer is no, you can't send one message to a bunch of different channels or groups like in the same instance. You have a couple of different options if you want to kind of spread a message, in several spots in your organization. One is that you can write the message in one spot, and then you can forward that message to other channels that you want to put it in. The other thing that you can do is just in your message, you can either mention users or groups using the @ symbol, right? Or you can use the hash symbol to tag other channels or or groups within your organization. There's a couple of caveats there. One is that you can't tag any personal, external, or closed channels, but any organization or team channels you can tag. And if you're doing any mentions of an external user, external users can be mentioned only if they are one of your contacts in your Click login. And then any app mentions that you do, that person will actually receive like a notification. Then the tags is more, it's a little more referential, kind of more. I don't think it actually shows up in the chat, but it kind of like guide your users to those other channels if you needed them to specifically move a conversation to another channel. But I think just forwarding your message after you create it in one spot is probably what you're looking to do here, Mr. Box of Plastic.
But you know what, Mr. Box of Plastic, and Greg, correct me on this, but I think, because we do crazy things in Click. We are writing to Click all the time, so you probably could write a creator app where you select the things you want to do and you click go and you put the one message and it would post all the different channels at the same time, right? It's possible.
Yeah,
you can even do like a custom function. You can do like a custom function that does your chat bots. So you could do a custom function that does several chat bots at once to all your channels or something.
Yes, yeah. That's if we want to go the coding route, the possibilities are endless here. You can even create message actions just within Click that if you wanted to, you could create like the equivalent of pressing those three little buttons or the three dots on a particular message, and you go to like more actions and have a custom script that like, send to all blank channels, and it's like, I've got a message action for sending to all my operations channels, and then a message action for sending to all of my sales channels, etc. Lots of options there as well.
If you want to manually brute force it, you can keep all of your Click boxes closed, and if you open them in the order for the channels you want to send them, Control-C, Control-V, escape, Control-C, Control-V, escape, Control-V, escape, Control-V, escape, and you can blast them that way real quick. But
if you want to make it even more efficient, get a mouse with buttons on it, and then you got your Control-V and your Control-C and a button. There you go.
Be all of them. Yep.
All right, and wrapping up the show today, Lisa Tomsick asked the question of the century. Hi, we currently have Zoho CRM Plus and are looking to add Zoho Sign to integrate more seamlessly. We currently use another signature app that we've never integrated. I've been looking at Zoho One instead of adding Sign, and I'm finding that Zoho One is at a lower price point than CRM. Am I missing something here? Because if this is true, why would anyone sign up for CRM instead of Zoho One, which includes CRM Plus and other apps? Oh my goodness, what is the answer to this question? Oh, Lisa. Well, let us look at the Bundaroos, shall we? So that's a little South Park reference for you there. So here's what Zoho has done. And the best way to look at this, because we think it's very hard to find this stuff over at kind of searching around Zoho. But if you go to Zenatta and you hover over resources, we have got our resource library and we have got Zoho bundles. And here we break down all of the Zoho bundles. So here are all the current Zoho bundles that are out there in existence. And you would be correct. If I look at CRM Plus, it is $69 per user per month, paying monthly. By the way, if you click into any of these apps, we're going to click at CRM and we're going to look at its pricing. This kind of gives you the breakdown of all the pricing and everything's available there. So let's go down to the pricing guide for CRM. And if we look at the full enterprise edition, paid monthly, is $50 per user per month. The Ultimate Edition is $65 per user per month. The interesting thing here is that the CRM comes, CRM Plus on the bundle side of things actually comes with the Ultimate Edition, which is what we are talking about here. So it is $65 a month for just the Ultimate Edition of CRM, which no one should ever buy ever on its own, because for $4 a month more, you get the Ultimate Edition in CRM Plus, and you also get analytics and campaigns and desk and project and sales IQ and survey and Zoho Social. You say, my goodness, this makes no sense. No, it does not. Those things make no sense at all. But what you're referring to specifically is, well, why wouldn't everybody just have Zoho One? And the reason for that is the following. Zoho One is the only Zoho app that has a very unique pricing structure attached to it, which is flexible user pricing or all user pricing. So what this means is if your company has, let's say, 20 employees, but you only have maybe 5 people on CRM and a couple people on desk, you would have to use this flexible user pricing, and you would be paying $105 per user per month. And oftentimes people, when they look at that, they can buy the apps individually or they can buy smaller bundles, and they get everything cheaper that way. On the other hand, if you have 20 employees and all 20 employees are on CRM Plus, it's a no-brainer. Your price is $45 per user per month. You are saving $24 per user per month, just a little under $300 a year. And you got to do it. It makes a lot of sense to do that. So that's kind of where it all goes together, and why people, why there is this pricing structure. It is extremely confusing, and people are talking about this all the time as to, why this, why that, what am I going to do here? But oftentimes, you will want to look at it a la carte, because if you go and you look at Zoho Sign all by itself, the pricing on it is really relatively cheap. I think it comes in at, let me see here, I'm going to bring it up here real quick, but you're at about $10. So, if you're just using the standard edition, you're at $10 per user per month. Billed annual, I think it's $12 if you're billing it monthly. You're still cheaper than Zoho One if all you need is those core apps that are in CRM Plus, and all you need is Zoho Sign added to that, and you're not on the all employee pricing plan. I will tell you that Tyler and I have done a video on this. We did it in 2022, which was called Zoho Bundles Full Overview. And that's Tyler there, not AI, actually a person. We kind of go through every single bundle, how they fit, what they do, why you should use it, what's best for you, how it all fits. But again, I think if you just go over and look at our overall resource guide and click on these Zoho bundles, that's probably going to be best thing for you. So with that, I hope that answers your question. We do get asked that a lot. I know it's particularly frustrating when we talk to somebody who's been on Zoho for 6-7 years, and they're on CRM Enterprise Edition, and they've got 10 people in their company, and everybody's on the CRM, and we're talking to them like, well, why aren't you on Zoho One? And so they've been paying more money for years for kind of a lesser product. But we try to get the word out, and hopefully that answered your question for you. Anything you guys would add to that, or?
Not really. You covered it.
I figure that Zoho probably prices the Enterprise as, or the Ultimate Edition is so much higher because they want people to go to those bundles, because they're like, hey, you're going to have a better experience, and you're more likely to stay with us for a long time if we have you on one of those bundles, because the apps work so well together. So I'd
really like to see probably CRM Plus drop to $59 or $49, and Zoho One have a single pricing tier, $79 or something like that, right? Just kind of get rid of this, because it leads to people not being honest. Oh no, I've only got 8 employees, and and that's something that's very hard for Zoho to police, and I don't like having people being put in that position as well. So anyway, hopefully that answered your question. Alrighty, guys, another AZAAZ is in the bag. As always, if you would like to reach out and get in touch with us here at Zenatta.com, if you head to our website, almost on every page, you'll see a button in the upper right-hand corner that says book a meeting. Please click on that and you'll be talking with us before you know it.
And in case you missed Brett's full overview of the resource library just now, go ahead and visit Zenatta.com/resources to find any other additional resources for all of the Zoho apps. And if you want to stay up to date with the latest news and events in the world of Zoho, we send out a weekly newsletter every Monday, and you can subscribe to that newsletter at Zenatta.com/newsletter.
And head over to club.zenatta.com, where you can join our social platform that allows you to connect with other Zoho users, as well as pitching questions or video ideas to the Zenatta team here, and your question might end up on this very show.
And Zenatta.com/training is going to be your URL of choice if you want to get yourself and your team trained up in basic and advanced use of Zoho apps in less than a week.
And as always, we appreciate you if you could subscribe and like the video here on YouTube, as well as following us on your favorite choice of podcast app.
Favorite choice of what now?
Podcast.
Podcast out. Have a great one, everybody. See you next week. See ya.